Hey, good Wednesday afternoon, guys. Day 3 as we're coming at you today, speaking about women of the Bible, what a godly mother looks like, what a godly wife looks like, what a godly daughter looks like. And yes, as a woman, you can be a leader. You can be a spiritual leader for your family, for your friends, spiritual leader in the midst of work, in the midst of church. The Bible does not say a woman cannot be a spiritual leader, and we'll point to a couple of different women today. Today, we're going to talk about misapplying what the Bible says, what Paul said about silence and submission. If you go on and read the book of 1 Timothy 2 and 1 Corinthians 14, Paul's instructions in this book required women to be silent and not teach. This was more than likely instructions to address situations where they were bringing in chaos. They were bringing in false teachings about different goddess worship. Paul was instructing them, no, you be silent, you sit down, because what you're doing is you're preaching a different gospel that is not Jesus Christ. But we go on, and Paul is calling men out in this stuff too. But I don't believe Paul was saying a woman isn't meant to be a teacher, isn't meant to be a leader. Because you got to look at all the women in the Bible that God's given us as examples. Look at Ruth, a Moabite woman whose unwavering loyalty, kindness, and devotion to her mother-in-law, Naomi, and to God, ultimately God, led her to become the great-grandmother of King David. She was in the bloodline of King David, who King David's in the bloodline of Christ. So here it is, a powerful woman who was dedicated and devoted to God that the Lord used in mighty ways. And I'm sure she instructed and taught. But then you look at women like Timothy's mother, Eunice, I think is how you pronounce it, or Louise, his grandma, who the Bible specifically says led him and taught him as he was growing up. Timothy was a young boy, a young man who Paul come along and mentored, but Timothy was raised, from what I understand in the Word, by his mother and his grandmother, who were spiritual leaders to him, teaching him the commandments of the Lord and about Jesus Christ. So how can we sit here and say that Paul's saying, all women, you can't be a leader, you can't be a teacher? I do not believe that's what Paul was saying. I think Paul was addressing moments of chaos and moments of false teachings that were coming in and trying to overtake what the true gospel really meant. So today, women, if you hear someone say, oh, women are meant to be silent, you're not meant to speak in church, you're not meant to be a leader, I beg to differ. And I don't think that's what Paul meant. God allowed, when Jesus had risen, who found him? Who found that the tomb was empty? Who did Jesus show himself to? Two women. And they ran back and shared that to the disciples, who at that time, women's testimony meant nothing. When a woman would say something, half of the time they were dismissed. But God allowed those two women to go back and share that Jesus Christ had risen and that they had seen him. And what happened? Paul and John ran to the tomb and discovered what the women had already told them. Ladies, I love you all. You are godly women. You are meant to be leaders. You are meant to speak out. You are meant to share the gospel and be spiritual warriors. So have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.